It's Cigar Saturday. I'm Tom Fischer here, along with Matty Rock, joining us from Sanja's, and our special guest. It is Tony Cucci, actor Tony Cucci, otherwise known as Fat Dom or Dominic Gamiello on
Gamiello,
the
Fat Dom Gamiello. Right. That's how you know me.
It's 2021. We can't say fat anymore. It's husky, right?
No, it's quite all right. It's okay to say it.
Do they still call you that, or has it changed a little bit?
Well, no, actually, since I did the role on Sopranos, I've lost about 60 pounds. So I'm Slim Dom Gamiello or Slim
Dom
Gamiello.
It's the Slim Dom. He has
Well, they took my head off in the episode, so that lightened the load a little bit too.
That did lighten the load when that happened. And you've made it. You've gotten lighter and lighter. But I see you found your head again, which helps.
Yes.
Yeah, that always helps. No, it's great to have you, and it's good to see both of you there live at Sanja's in New Jersey. What's happened at Sanja's tonight? I hear we have a whole lot of people over there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. There's one of the VIPs here has got his birthday. So happy birthday, Mal! If you're listening, Mal probably be listening. So Sanj had a birthday party for Mr. Mal and the boys.
Sanj's gonna sneak in. He's sneaking into the frame. There he is.
Hey, Sanj.
There he is. There's the proprietor of this establishment.
Sanj, it's good to see you as always. I have a surprise for you. Look what I'm smoking tonight.
Dot head.
What do you call this again?
Dot head.
Right, that's what it is, and this is actually
not racist. Hashtag not racist.
That's what I'm smoking. Sanj, this is a great stick. Tell me about this. This is your creation.
Yes. So it's I can't speak too much.
He can't speak too loud today, so I'm pulling a little.
Okay.
I'm not feeling well.
His vocal cords are a little bit banged
tell
up.
me if you need to. What do we have here? This is really good. Chocolatey notes, lighter but still robust.
So it's a night. I can't speak too loud.
Okay.
Not feeling well.
Sorry.
So it has a 98 Criollo wrapper.
Mm.
And it's a Dominican filler with Nicaraguan filler mix, and the wrapper is from 98 Criollo, so that's what gives you the sweet nose and
so good
Maduro on it. That gives you that little deeper chocolatey taste.
Yeah.
So the proper cigar would have been the dot head Maduro, which is green.
Get a green one for St. Patty's Day too. Look at that.
We have them here. We'll be trying this in a little bit.
We're gonna be trying that one. Yes.
This looks really good.
It's a really good cigar. I like this. And people can find them only at Sanja's. What's the story?
Yeah, this is right now just strictly for us. So we have 4 blends. So Section 8 dot heads. Then we have Section 8 Janu, which is a little torpedo with the Candela, Maduro, and Connecticut. And then we have something else coming, might be next week. It's going to be called Section 8 dot head Snake Charmer.
Snake Charmer.
Don't write in about these names, okay, please?
I just smile and wave.
That's it.
I let Sanj do the narration.
That's right.
This is the narration.
As soon as it comes, I'm going to send it to you.
Thank you. This is a great stick. I really like this.
Good.
The stick.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes, I like it a lot. Matty and Tony, what do you all smoke on there?
So Tone's actually smoking one of the Lanceros I sent you out of the BOTLs by Drew Estate, the
Very nice.
Brother Leaf. So as we mentioned before, nice medium body, nice a little bit of leathery taste on there.
Yes.
I'm knocking out, as we spoke about, I've been in a Herrera Esteli rage lately, so I'm smoking the Miami Black. So I love this stick, medium full, that spice.
And I do have a little bourbon that I'm drinking along with you tonight.
You know what? I could actually grab that bottle. He's drinking the burning chair. Tony's having the burning chair.
Yes.
My wife, bless her heart, I'm gonna have her grab that so I can be drinking the same thing. Tony, that's actually one of my favorite bourbons. We went to their distillery a little over a year ago, right before the pandemic. My good friend Jordan Vi is he's the master distiller there. How do you like it? How do you like that bourbon?
It's terrific. I'm enjoying it, really. It's the first time I've had it, so I just know what my palate likes. That's it. It's like the same thing with a cigar. I would assume it's the same thing with a bourbon. It goes down pretty smooth. It's got a nice taste. I don't know about all of the different ways, the charcoal that it will be poured through and all this other jazz. I just know what I like. and I'm
good.
Enjoying it.
No, it's actually that's a really good whiskey for pairing with a cigar because it actually has been finished in used red wine barrels. They're used Cabernet Sauvignon barrels.
Oh, and I love Cabernet Sauvignon. I drink that a lot. My wife and I,
Yeah. So it's actually like it's kind of cocktail-esque. So what you have there is a 5 to 6 year old bourbon finished in cab barrels. It's actually Dave Finney, the winemaker's distillery. It's right outside of Napa. It's a great distillery.
Wow.
They don't call me so I can.
Annabelle's grabbing me some of the burning chair. For the moment, though, since we're in the St. Patrick's Day spirit, which we always are in that spirit at BourbonBlog, but I'm having some of this new whiskey from Teeling called Black Pits. It is a peated, not a peated Scotch, but a peated Irish whiskey that has been finished in used Sauterne and used bourbon barrels. And this is dynamite. If you're if you all are Irish whiskey fans watching, or Tony, if you're an Irish whiskey fan, this is amazing. Really good stuff.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
I got to look seriously through you guys.
I know.
Look.
He's got his Perrier.
Je bois le Perrier de Le Monde.
I love Perrier.
Try to give me a little sophistication. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Are you gonna get a little French accent going on there? Or what's...
Je parle de français parce que mon père est né dans la Belgique.
You have to worry about Matty coming out of his shell.
So we're good. My father's Belgian, so he'd endorse this. I feel it's an endorsable product right now. So with that little hint of lime in there, and you know what? Let's be really honest. Keep your palate clean. Perrier with that hint of lime is actually great to keep the palate clean first.
It is.
So
It is.
Kind of by mistake, I'm actually knocking it out of the park.
It's great. If I'm doing a whiskey tasting, what I recommend people do between different whiskeys is actually have some of that bubbly water, and Perrier is actually my very favorite one to do. So well done.
It cleanses it so you can get a better taste on the next one you taste.
Yep.
Right. Brings it off the palate. Well, special thanks to Annabelle, who's really close by. She brought me the same bottle you're having, so I'm gonna.
Right.
Nice.
We're gonna be almost all of us will be sipping on the same thing.
God bless. That's terrific, man.
Yeah. So this is great stuff. So
have some collection over there, huh?
Yeah, we can just kind of reach behind the computer and find usually what you're sipping on. Sometimes what you're
I don't know
smoking.
if that would be good for me to have that in my home office, right behind the computer. I don't know. I get nothing done now. I can't imagine even more. So it's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. All I have to do is reach behind my screen, and there's more bourbons and more bourbons.
After more though, there's a little slurring, and you might not be able to grab the rabbit anymore.
Yeah, that's happened on only a couple episodes. That occasionally happens. So Tony, obviously, I think we have a lot of people who are big fans of The Sopranos, and we enjoyed your character on there a lot. And of course, years and years later, people still love this, and everybody's looking for something new to watch or something to go back to. I have a lot of friends during the pandemic that said, I started watching The Sopranos again because we hadn't seen it for a while, right?
People have started to binge watch it again. And I think last year, actually 2019, when we had the Soprano Con in Secaucus, New Jersey, it just the 20th anniversary, it just blew it up big. I mean, they had so many of the cast members there. It was terrific. And when you worked on that show, the cool thing about that show, it didn't matter how big or small a part you had. I'm friends with Steven Van Zandt now. Federico Castelluccio is a good friend of mine. Actually, Federico was on the show with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
He and I go way back to doing off-Broadway shows and kind of in the city. I met him a long time ago. We did Painting X's on the Moon, this Richard Viteri play. And he was hired, of course, great actor, but also a great painter. And recently I had the opportunity to stop by his house, his studio. I swear to God, it was like going into a museum. And another subject that I'm not proficient in, but yet he explained things. It was like taking a master class in Renaissance art. It was just amazing to see the thing. He just draws with such detail and such passion. You can see it in everything he does. And but SopranoCon, the cast getting back together, the directors, the people you worked with on the show, it was a magical experience. Like many people, I'm sure, that have had longer runs on the show than I did. But just in my limited experience and my limited time on the show, I felt like I'd been there. Well, I had been auditioning for the show for 10 years. The funny thing is, you go for parts over and over and over. And the casting directors were so cool. They would kind of remember you, and David Chase would always remember you. And I remember the day that I went in, when I finally got the part, I was in a fortune office. It was Christmas time. It was right before Christmas. My daughter was taking a picture with Santa Claus. I had auditioned for Sopranos. And I had auditioned prior, but there were smaller parts. I mean, even smaller than the part that I played, which was small, but it was significant. And I told my agent, I said, please, I don't want to go up for something small. This is a really good show. I want to wait for something. So this part of Fat Dom came up, and I went in and read for it. And, you know, as an actor, this is, you know, a business of rejection. You know, you get rejected constantly. So I went home, and I was hopeful. I thought I had a good audition, but I had to let it go. And we're at Fortune Office. My daughter's taking a picture on Santa's lap, and my phone goes off, and it's my agent. And they said, you're going to have a very good Christmas. And I was like, wow, what's going on? And they said, you got the part on Sopranos. Now, at the time, it came down as a recurring role. So I'm thinking like, wow, I'm going to buy a new house, maybe a car. You know, things are going to happen. My daughter will have a college degree. And I get the part. I go down for the first reading, and I walk in. And actually, one of the characters, the character of my friend, Arthur Nascarella, who played Carlo, I'd known him. We did his first movie together back in the 90s. He sees me come in, he goes, sweetheart, how you doing? You finally made it to the big show, sweetheart. This is really him. This is a guy from the East Harlem in New York. And I said, yeah, man, I'm excited. He goes, I'm sorry to hear what happened. And I go, what are you talking about? You sorry to... I didn't know what happened. See, he had already read some of the script. He knew the story well. So I sit down for the table read. Everybody's there. Gandolfini, the whole cast is there, right? And we're reading through this episode. We get to the part, and we read a couple episodes, and we get to the part where they kill me in Satriali's. And I'm kind of depressed. So the reading has ended, and I'm sitting at the table kind of dejected that I've waited like 10 years to get to the show. And David Chase actually must have seen me just with my head like on the table. And he comes over to me and goes, what's the matter? And I said, well, Mr. Chase, you know, I've been waiting such a long time to get on this show. I get on this show, and I'm dead in 3 episodes. He goes, let me tell you something. It's going to be memorable. And sure enough, I mean, Entertainment Weekly named it the 8th best death scene on in the show's history. And It was true. And I got a lot of notoriety from it. I got other parts. I did Law and Order. I did, you know, Whoopi Goldberg show. And then I did a show on Broadway with her and Charles Dutton. So it did what it did, what it was supposed to do. But at the time, I didn't think so. But then when people saw it, and even at SopranoCon, so many people came up to me, and they loved the scene. They loved my character. They wanted to see more. And it was just a nice thing as an actor. Like I said, when you're in a profession with a 90% rejection rate, to finally hit something and people liked it, what else can you say? I mean, that's it.
What a story! And it was reoccurring to the degree that you reoccurred until they killed you off. Yes. Yeah. And then a funny thing about that too. If you've never seen the show, maybe some of your viewers haven't seen the show, maybe some have that are tuning in. My head gets cut off and they put it in a freezer. I had to go into a guy in Hasbrook Heights, this guy, Steven. He was a special effects wizard, and they had to put my head, encase my head in all kinds of paper mache. They made a likeness. They made 10 replicas of my head. And it was kind of fascinating to see. And actually, the day I came into work on the set, I went into my trailer, I opened the door, and one of the heads was on my table. Like they were just playing, like they were great playing games with people. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That you just were part of the family once you got in there. And I remember at the wrap party for Sopranos, I saw Stephen Kelly, the guy who made the head, and I said, Stephen, listen, is there any way I can get one of those heads? And he goes, as a matter of fact, there's 2 heads left over, but David Chase, you know, he really doesn't let any. Even Joe Pantoliano, whose head was also cut off and put in a bowling bag, never got his head. So I said, all right, well, he said, listen, give me your number. I wrote it on a napkin. He says, I got to go to LA. When I come back, we'll see what happens. So I'm having drinks. Gandolfini was there that night. We were talking to each other. We had the same agent at one time. And I forget about it. And then all of a sudden, one day, UPS comes and it's a box. And my wife goes to me, Tony, you got a box from UPS? I said, I didn't order anything. I opened the box. Now, my daughter was young then. And I go through, it's got all peanuts inside the box. And it was my head in the box. It was your head.
And I pulled it out. My daughter ran out of the room screaming, which is still traumatized by the thought of the dad's head on the table. Because I took it out and I put it on the table. It was very crazy, right? And I have this head in my office at home, and it's a great conversation piece. Let me tell you, everybody in my neighborhood barbecues, I get invited just to bring my head. I think that's what it is. They don't want me. They just want bring the head, Tony. You have the head to show everybody. Bring the head. And but so Stephen came through, and I actually got one of the heads, and it was like I said, it's a great conversation piece. It's a piece of history too. You know, I mean, you know, a lot of props and things. You know, and that Soprano had a lot of costumes and things like that were used on the show. So I never realized some guy offered me like 10 grand for the head. And at the time, I'm like, no, I'm not going to sell this right now. It's mine. It's a piece of history. So, but you never know. Things get bad as an actor. I always have a head to sell. You know what I'm saying? You always have an extra head.
I want to see that transaction in an alley here in Jersey.
That head is actually making more money than I am right now. Exactly.
Show you something. 100%. I want to show you something. Here's a fucking head, huh? Want a head?
Do you know what happened to the other head?
What happened
to the other head? I mean, so many great stories. And Gandolfini, the guy that I killed on the show, the gay character at the time, he's a sweetheart of a guy, you know. And it was funny too, because when we shot a lot of those scenes, the scene where I get killed, Tom, that scene, which is, I don't know, maybe a minute, 2 minutes on film, took 5 days to shoot.
Wow.
And I got beat up. And David Chase is such a realist and into so much reality that I had a Kevlar. I was called Fat Dom, but they made me even fatter for the show. And the reason for that was with this Kevlar vest was because he liked to use a real knife, like not a retractable knife, you know? So it was kind of a dulled down knife, and it was Kevlar. And he was actually like, so when Arthur was stabbing me, he was really stabbing me. And the Kevlar saved me, of course, but I had all the nick marks. And it was funny because after the second day of shooting, I had to throw myself on the table, you know, banging around. You know, it's a very physical kind of scene, if anybody's seen it. And I go to get out of bed, and my wife goes, "Oh, my God, Tony, what happened?" And I said, what are you talking about? She goes, "You're black and blue from your ass to your calves." Because I was black and blue from hitting this table for like hours. And in one take, I actually got knocked out. They had all breakaway glass on the table. And the prop guy forgot to put a vase. There was a pitcher. And it had like water or soda in it. And it was a real pitcher, though. So one time when I threw myself back on the pitcher, it actually knocked me out. And they had to give me smelling salts to revive me. I didn't even know what happened. I thought somebody, like Mike Tyson, punched me and knocked me out onto the table. But 5 days to shoot that scene, the physicality of it. Stephen Van Sant had he couldn't jump on my back, so they had to give him apple boxes to have a running leap to jump on my back, and then Arthur stabbing me. You know what's funny about movies, Tom, or TV? You go half speed when you're blocking it out. The minute they say action, some people just lose their minds. And my boy Arthur, who I love, and he's a great guy, we worked on his first movie together. He was like hitting me, man, like hard, you know, and it was crazy. And I said, Arthur, I had to change my clothes every take because they had the blood packs and the clothing, and it came out terrific. And everybody, I think Tim Van Patten was the director. He was a great guy. And Tony Sirico was there that played Holy Walnuts. I've known him for many, many years. The first movie I ever worked on in Atlantic City, he was on that movie. And the guy Joe Spinell also, who played in all the Rocky movies, he was the Shylock that Rocky worked for. Right. And in The Godfather, he was like, "I'm the button man. I just pulled the buttons." He was terrific. He was kind of my foray into the first movie I did with those guys down in Atlantic City. But look, I don't want to take up the whole conversation here. This is
all about you. You're supposed to take it up.
Yeah, this is why we have you, to tell these great stories. Do you think they, 5 days to kill you, think they just wanted to beat you up a little bit more than they usually would?
Well, no, I actually found out through working on the show. In the beginning, they had a tighter shooting schedule, but as the show got more popular, it took almost 2 or 3 weeks to actually shoot one episode. So because they had so many different location shoots, so many different, you know, and then actually after I was done shooting, I had to go back in a month later, and it was funny because I was doing an episode of Law and Order, and I had to go back in to do some reshoots because the room where we beat up Joe when he came in, and we hit him at the door and all the stuff and got him. And Frank Vincent came out of the closet and all of that stuff, which was like out of the closet kind of thing, which was a little play on words there. they realized that they didn't shoot any close-ups of me, you know, reacting to what was going on. So a month later, and it was funny because I had booked a job on Law and Order to play this character, and they had to rework the shoot takes around me going back to Sopranos to do these pickup shots, basically they're called. And they had me just stand in the corner. The magic of movies, when you see it, it's seamless, of course. But they built the corner of the hotel room, and they just had me looking at a square on the floor, a little X on the floor, and looking at an X on a pole that was supposed to be Frank Vincent. And I had to act like that, almost doing like a Steven Spielberg movie or a Star Wars movie where there's nothing there. It's like a blue screen. But that's all part of it. And you know, but look, it's something that I love to do. It's something that I've done for 35 years. I can't believe 35 years. I'm still like a work in progress, as you can say. You know, I mean,
right.
I know who I am. But in this pandemic's been very rough with the whole acting community, Broadway,
right.
Off-Broadway, and so hopefully we're kind of turning the corner on all of this, and we'll get back to normal soon. And you know, I heard in New York that they're thinking about reopening the theaters, and I've had auditions, but they're not the same now. Everything's like a Zoom audition.
Right.
Usually, when I audition, I like to go into the room. You get a feel as soon as you walk into a room, you know, whether you're right or wrong, almost, and that's what they feel as well. And I think you can show a little more of a personality, you know, when you're there in person, you know, and you're meeting the director, you're meeting the producers and things like that.
You can feel that energy and know how they like it.
Authenticity in the moment, right?
Right.
You're feeling that moment.
You're feeling the moment, exactly. And so some of that gets lost with you know, a Zoom kind of audition. But hey, it's funny too, because recently I auditioned for The Equalizer. I didn't get the part, but then I see the first episode. It came on right after the Super Bowl. They wrote the character out of the show. Then I read for another show, and what was it? It was not Law and Order. It was the one with Magnum, Tom Selleck. It's on Friday.
Magnum PI?
Well, no, it's on Friday night.
Blue Bloods?
Blue Bloods. I read for Blue Bloods. And that's actually my friend Arthur, who stabbed me. He was the Don in the show, and they wrote out that character too. I was supposed to be his muscle or something, and I had a nice audition, a couple of nice scenes that I had to put down on tape. Didn't get that. So it's funny. I've auditioned for things, and as an actor, I always think like, oh, geez, you know, I wasn't good enough. I didn't. But no, sometimes it's higher ups that are changing things, and if you're not moving the story along, your character's not necessary, and they just write you out. So, but that's just a little bit of insight. I know there's a lot of people out there. You know, everybody's an actor today, but you don't realize what it takes, the years it takes. Nobody's an overnight success. Even Gandolfini did a lot of things, and then, you know, you're fortunate to hit the one thing. You know, because I remember him and we had the same agent at the, you know, many years ago, back in the early 90s, and he was doing little things here and there, and then he did a couple of things. He did a Travolta movie, a couple of things broke him, and that's how it happens, you know. So my father used to always say to me, it's not over, the old Yogi Berra thing, you know, it's not over till it's over. So that's what kind of keeps you in the game, and some positive feedback. I can't wait to get back to getting the positive feedback, though. You know, like I said,
actually getting it. Is there anything about doing the Zoom auditions that you've obviously you'd prefer to be in person, but that you've enjoyed? Is there any part of it that's like?
Well, it saves you the $50 to park your car in Manhattan for a 10-second audition. You know, that's the thing. But you know, I remember when I started out. Well, when I started out, I was living in Jersey, and my mom would come in, and I would take her to lunch. Just sit in the car, Ma. Well, I go in and audition for this thing. And, you know, it worked, and the combination worked for many years. And then I got married, and then, you know, I said to my wife, listen, honey, you want to go for lunch? We'll go down to the village. We'll grab some. I'd rather spend the money on lunch than giving it to some guy parking my car for like a 10-minute audition.
Exactly.
Really, that's what it is. I mean, you go in, it's very quick, unless the director wants to have you do something, make an adjustment or something like that. You know, it's a relatively boom, boom, boom. So in that regard, and I don't really know, maybe the business is going to change because of this also, because rents are so expensive in the city now. Casting directors that are paying these exorbitant rents, and maybe some of them have now lost their spaces,
right? And
they're just doing this basically. You can do it out of a bedroom. I mean, you could be a casting director. I mean, if you have a reputation, you've already built a reputation over 20, 30, maybe some 40 years. You know, so in some ways, I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
It may stay. I mean, in some ways, it may stay that way. I mean, hopefully, we'll see something in person for your auditions, but there may be some auditions that are still done this way. It's possible.
Right.
I think it'll be a combination of monetary stuff, but people are so happy to get out. So it's going to be interesting, right? Because I can promise you, people just want out because everyone's talking. It's like, hey, what promotions are in the pipeline? You've been on the shelf for a year. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what people's reaction is going to be. And people are like, I don't care. Do something. I want to get out. I'm like, I just want to get out. I could be like, all right, I'm doing a thing where we feed the ducks. So like, we're all coming. There'll be 50 of us. We'll all feed the ducks together. I'm like, all right, we'll throw a promotion to feed ducks. I can do that. So it'll be it'll be that combination because I really believe people need out. People need to be around other people.
This is the first year of my life that I never went to the Jersey Shore. I mean, even though I live in the Bronx, I'm a Jersey guy, basically.
Forget about it.
And I would always go, to AC with a couple friends of mine, or I'd go to Seaside Heights, with the Jersey Shore thing. But I'd been going to Seaside Heights ever since I was a child. My father used to take me there. My father told me stories about when he went there. And this was the first year that really you couldn't do anything. It was terrible. I mean, fortunately for me, my mother-in-law recently had a stroke. Right before Christmas time, she had a stroke. And when she was in Montefiore Hospital, she got the COVID inside the hospital. Never got it. We went like 7-8 months with nothing. I mean, she had symptoms. She didn't get it bad, so thank God. And she came out and she's fine now. God bless my mother-in-law. She's terrific.
Yeah, that's good.
And but you have to be thankful for what you can be thankful for. And with so many people losing relatives and friends, and this whole thing going on in New York, where I come from, with Cuomo. Right. I mean, I don't want to get political, but that whole thing with the
senior citizen
homes. I mean, my God. I mean, he pulled his mother out and put her with a family member, but other people weren't as fortunate to do that. And we'll see what happens with that. But it's really a sad situation. It really is. And hopefully, like I said, people are getting their shots and things are moving on. So
starting to turn the corner.
Starting to turn. I want to go to Yankee Stadium with my daughter and see a baseball game again. It's so strange to watch a game, and there's nobody in the stands. It's so foreign. I mean, like they said, 100 years. It wasn't 100 years since something like this had happened. So we're living through something that we'll be able to tell my grandkids, if I ever have a grandkid, because we had my daughter a little late. But actually, her birthday's next week. She's going to be 23. Happy birthday, Valentina. I love you.
Happy birthday.
Cheers.
So, yeah. Cheers. That's right.
Yeah, and it's and ask Tony some questions. All those Soprano fans of Tony's works. You're watching BourbonBlog.com live, and it's Tony Cucci, actor Tony Cucci, and Matty Rock joining us from Assange's Lounge there in New Jersey. And we've been, Matty, as we've been mentioning, I know we have to look at our calendar still, but we're coming up on something like almost a year of doing this. We haven't missed a Saturday for a year.
So. One year.
One year.
Close to a year, either this week, sometime soon. We're close to.
And I believe, Tom, in COVID years, that's like we aged in dog years. So
it's like we've been doing this for a decade.
7 years. Surviving one COVID year, I believe, is 7 dog years.
It certainly has felt like it some days. That's certainly true.
I was bald and clean shaven when we started.
It's funny.
Has the beard grew a little bit for a while, and now it looks a little shorter than it did.
Yeah.
Toned it down a little bit. Yeah.
I decided to trim it down because it's springtime. The birds were looking for a place to nest, and I don't want to. I don't need any more havoc in my life, so trimmed it down a bit.
Found a few birds when you were in there.
Yeah, I saw the robins starting to look at me like, that looks pretty nice. You want to come over here a minute? Pigeons were giving me the stink eyes, like, hey, we're looking to build a family. How much for the beard? I was like, all right, let me cut this down a little bit.
Tom, I got to do a shout out to my friend Glenn Rolamo, who actually introduced me to Matty Rock, and that's how I'm actually here tonight. So he introduced me to cigars and the whole bourbon thing too, that we're getting into now. And I'm telling you, once you get into this, it's tough because this is a life down here that's really. I love hanging out with friends, smoking a cigar, having a little something to drink, conversation. It's like Sanjay's. This place here, this is my first time here. I grew up in Clifton, which is right up the road. So,
right.
I mean, to come back to Jersey and to see a place like this and to see the people that are here and kind of like the love, you could feel like the energy in here. It's kind of cool, man. It really is. I want to thank Matty for having me come down and be a part of this. It's
much
really
love.
terrific.
And like I said, that's what it's all about. So the camaraderie, having family. So, I mean, Walken's sitting here, Walken's family, Sanjay's family, Tony's family. And the fact that this and what you do, that brings people together. It's contemplative. There's so much. I mean, there's really no such thing as being a total expert. I mean, even the masters don't call themselves masters in this, and I assume, you know, obviously the same on your side in liquors and spirits. So
Right.
you know, you get to be hanging out with the masters, and you learn something every day. You keep smoking, you learn more.
You do.
You never stop learning. That's what my dad used to say too. You know, the guy who knows it all doesn't know it all. And you know, life is cyclical, and things come around. You meet the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. So be good to everybody. You know, that's kind of been my thing. You know, I've never really been, you know, out for myself. You know, that's why it's a little tough to talk about yourself too sometimes. You know, I'm not really that kind of person. But to share things that have happened to me and to some of the viewers that might be interested in hearing about it, that's cool, man. That's cool. That's why I love doing this. Actually, I'm involved now with virtualcons.com.
Okay.
Guy Mike Mata that started the Soprano Cons.
Yeah.
Started this thing called virtualcons.com, where you can go to virtualcons.com.
Okay.
Actually, people that are watching, you can go there and use the referral code. It's Tony Cucci, my name.
Okay.
And it's free to sign up. You can go there. It's free to sign up, and they're going to have all kinds of things where we have, you know, video talkbacks to people. You can invite, you know, if you want to wish somebody happy birthday or something like that or whatever. They got all kinds of content that's going to be on the site. So I think it just went up. I think it just went live like last week.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, remember when Federico was on, he was saying it was going to be live soon, and it's funny. Here we are, a couple of weeks later, talking about it's live. You want to drop that link again, Tony? So Tom,
there it is. Virtual cons and the referral link.
There it is. Perfect. Yeah, code Tony Cucci.
Tony Cucci, that's what'll get you there. And as you said,
sign up. It's free to sign up, and there's going to be. I mean, they just brought in Armand Asante. Ice-T is now part of the production, and this is going to go along. This really is the future of live events and conventions, and it had to take a pandemic to kind of bring something like this up. But Mike Mata, who's a guy from, he's from, where is he? He's from
here, right around here.
No, he's from. He's up like by actually he married a girl that was a Patriots cheerleader up in New England. He's up in New England. He's got a place called Skyline that he does events at, but he's a real entrepreneur, real go-getter. And he's got Dan Trainer, Joe Fama, or a couple of his partners. They put this thing like 3 fams together. And now with Federico, you know, Federico came in. He's also a partner. And the thing we did at SopranoCon, where they brought all these people in. Dominic Gamiello came in from Europe, which is tough because right now everything got shut down. Nobody could go anywhere. I think we have another SopranoCon. If things clear up, it's going to be in July. I don't have the exact dates, but it'll be July at Harrah's in Atlantic City.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to...
It'll probably be at the pool.
Yeah.
They got all the room. That's where you do all the big events.
Yeah, they do.
You know, that's where I promoted my events back in the day when it's Harrah's at the pool.
They're going to have the whole convention center down there, like we had when we were in Sea Caucus. It was amazing to see. We had 10,000 people show up the first day. I think it was 15,000 people the next day in a driving rain. People waited online to get in. It was something to be a part of. It was really an exciting event. I mean, it created this whole buzz. And actually, I think Federico even narrated. There's a documentary that I don't know whether they're trying to get it on HBO or something about the whole event. And they interviewed a bunch of us to be in the documentary. You know, kind of like what we're doing now, telling little stories about how we got there. You know, what kind of character we played. And that'll be interesting to see when it comes out. So that'll be something to look forward to.
This is virtualcons.com. You can sign up, get updates. As you said, you had been doing
just using Tony Cucci as the reference code. Let them know that I brought you there. You know, you can sign up with TonyCucci.com, and they know that basically I sent you to the site. So that'll be good.
You see, he's still Soprano.
Tony sent
who sent you, huh?
He had a tree ball in his side pocket. The brigands of Brujol.
Mingo, I'm just saying, don't forget, right? You know who sent you, right? Right?
Tony sent you.
It's so funny. I had to move to New York to play a guy from New Jersey. It's very funny. It's very funny. And all of this was shot like basically where I grew up. I mean, I would watch the show and go, oh my God, there's Branch Brook Park, or oh my God, there's this location, there's this location.
We used Berry's Creek or my office when we were talking about it with Federico. So all those years back, I wound up being my office building in Rutherford, because back there they're running through the creek. That was Berry's Creek.
Right.
So it's funny. So when it's so endearing to everybody from this area because you're watching. Well, you're watching your history play out right in front of you. Your places you eat, places you hung out.
Lanes, I mean, my grandfather grew up in East Rutherford, New Jersey. They shot in the Wallington Lanes, which was right up the street.
Diners right next door.
Exactly, man, exactly. So it's really interesting, man. That's what I liked about the show. It was something for people that grew up in Jersey.
And it was, because the air of authenticity about the places, they weren't hokey, they were real.
No, they were real. And that's why the episodes took so long to shoot, because they had so many actual locations.
Well, we were talking about, everyone talks about what's Bada Bings, and everyone laughs. Bada Bings was real, except it's just called Satin Dolls. It's still here, you know, pandemic, you really, you can't do that right now, but
yeah.
Bada Bings is Satin Dolls. So you went in, and the joke is if you know the area and you were around and you did promotion. So Bada Bings, aka Satin Dolls, was no nudity. So the nude chicks are actually done from the place on 120. Had the girls come in from the hell was that place?
Well, then they used some actresses too. Yep. Actually, that they signed a waiver and they said they would go topless with it. And it's funny too, because at SopranoCon, they did tours, and I was on one of the tours with people, you know, talking to people, and you know, kind of go on the tour with one of the actors. And we went to Satin Dolls, and the manager of the place saw me, and I came in. I said, "We got the bus. Everybody's." He goes, "Listen, I'm going to take you over to a certain spot." And he took me over to the bar. He said, "That's Tony's seat. You could sit in Tony's seat." And it was kind of cool to be actually in the spot that he sat in. And I only got briefly a chance to work with James, but from what even Federico, you know, he's a good friend of mine. We've talked about it. The guy was really a terrific guy to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a method actor, so when he was getting ready, he might not have been the nicest guy because it depended on what he had to do in the scene. And as actors, you have to do what you have to do to get to that place, you know. But when I saw him at the rap party and he was like, "Yo, come on over, have a drink," you know, and it was, you know, it's such a sin. I remember the day he passed, and I was shocked. I was literally shocked. I remember I was at my computer and it came up on the screen, and my wife was in the kitchen, and I went in there and I said, "Oh my God, Gandolfini died. I hope this isn't true," you know. But you never know. That's why, you know, I just turned 60 years old myself, and actually Gandolfini and I were the same age. We were born the same year.
Wow.
He was in September and I was in January, and I was actually older than him. I just said to my wife, "You know what? We got to live our life. You got to live your life, you know, because if you keep, that's why I enjoy hanging out with Matty and my friend Glenn and now Sanj, a new friend of mine now, because that's what life's about. It's not about, you know, making plans. It's about just doing something. Go out and do it, because you don't know if you have tomorrow."
It's the truth, and we kid around just with stuff like cigars. I remember when I first met Sanj, I'd be holding on, I'm like, "Hey, I don't want to smoke the cigar." And Sanj would look at me, he goes, "How do you know what's going to happen tomorrow?" Right? No. Sanj would say it a million. Sanj would say it a million times. "You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow." I'm like, "Fuck, Sanj is a fortune teller. I'm going to get hit by a bus tomorrow." I'm like, whatever he said. "Hey, you want me to smoke this now? Look. Can you undo that? What do you know?" He's like, "No, asshole. I'm just saying, you never know." And I'm like, "I'm smoking shit. He knows I'm going to get hit by a bus or something. I'm doing it." But, you know, seriously, you never know what each day brings. I think this,
so true.
If we learned anything from this shit, you don't know. Who in a million years would think that we really went 100 years into the past and dealt with our version of the Spanish flu? If you would have asked anybody if that was coming up, everyone would have laughed at you, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Here we are.
And my dad always wanted to visit Italy. He wanted to go back to where he was born, to the little town in Sicily, and all of this jazz, and he never did. He kept saying, "Next, I'm going to go. I'm going to wait. I'm going to go. I'm going to wait. I'm going to go." And then he passed away at 71 years old. So it's like, you know, there's lessons that your parents can teach you even after they're gone. And one of them is, I'm going to enjoy my daughter. I made sure my daughter went to Montclair State University, which is not far. Actually, I was telling Sanj, she just got a job at Mountainside Hospital, which is a few blocks away from here, which I can't believe. And, you know, I went to every softball game. I always asked my dad. I asked him a long time ago when I had my daughter. I said, "Dad, what's the secret to being a good father?" Because he was a terrific dad. I had a great father. And he said, "You know what the secret is? There is no secret, but if there is one thing, always be there for your kid." And that's what I was. Just be there for your child. And I think that's a powerful, you know, non-secret, I guess, you know, because so many people and the kids today, you know, with the craziness in the streets, sometimes you go, it starts at home. It starts with the parents, you know what I'm saying? And I had a couple of great, when I first went to acting classes in the city, I studied with this guy, Warren Robertson. It was many, 35 years ago. And I would sit in an acting class and I would look at these kids like having breakdowns on the stage. And they didn't know who they were really, you know? And I realized how fortunate I was that I had gone to school, gone to college, graduated, and I was brought up well. I knew right from wrong, blah, blah, blah. But to see some people like really broken down about their families, about their
they struggle for their identity,
and they say a lot of actors, a lot of the stuff actors come from is shit. I mean, they use that. It helps them to become whatever they have. And I always said, wow, I hope I can be a good guy and have a great life and was brought up the right way and still have a career. It doesn't have to always be that way. And I've been fortunate. I can't complain. I've done many commercials and soap operas. I mean, a 35-year career can take you in so many directions. I had friends of mine, I won't do commercials. I'm only going to do theater. I'm like, why are you limiting yourself as a professional? If I book a commercial, the first commercial I ever did was for Hershey's chocolate. I did it with Leonard Marshall. I did it with Byron Hunt, a couple of guys from the New York Giants back in the 80s. And I was like, how do you turn down this money? How do you turn down this is a craft. It's like anything else. I mean, you're constantly learning. You're constantly growing.
Right.
And, I don't do film. I only do it to make any money if you just do off-Broadway. I mean, yes, the art, to do it for the art, but yet you have to eat. You have to have a family. You have to survive, And
keep putting stuff in the pot. That's why I want to.
Man, you don't.
I mean, Ice-T. So one of the funniest things is to follow, and I tell everyone, follow Ice-T on Twitter. He just tells you like it is. Is there people like, oh, how come you're doing this? Why are you doing a commercial? Why are you doing this? And Ice-T is like, why wouldn't I? I'm like, I'm out there, dude. Movies, got a rapper who has a metal band, who's there's
to this thing that
Body Count. Now you listen to. Body Count, Ice-T, everyone's like, wait, dude's in a thrash metal band? I'm like, yeah, I've been listening to Body Count since the beginning. So I turned it on. He redid Ace of Spades, which is a Motorhead song. They knew he's just staring at it. He's like, holy crap. I'm like, Ice-T's doing Ace of Spades with Body Count. I'm like, yeah. And like, you follow him, he'll tell you. He's like, everyone says, Ice, why'd you do this? Or why'd you do a commercial? He's like, why wouldn't I do it? What's stopping me? And, now you got a guy, is Law and Order isn't Law and Order without Ice-T, right?
That's right, yeah.
So you take those things and you roll with them, man.
Right. And Tony, you mentioned the variety of things that, whether it's commercials or film, you've done some theater as well.
Yes, I was on Broadway with Whoopi Goldberg and Charles Dutton in Ma Rainey's Black Box, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Box, which they just redid as a film. Right. And I forget the name of the actor. It just passed away. The kid passed away.
Kid from Black Panther.
Yeah, from Black Panther. The kid from Black Panther. It's such a shame. But and actually, being a member of the Screen Actors Guild, we vote for the Screen Actors Guild Awards, and they just sent us. I've just been getting some DVDs now recently, so I can watch the film, screen them, and then vote. And yeah. So it's been Whoopi Goldberg was terrific to work with. I did a show with her. She was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and that's where I met Charles Dutton as well. Terrific person, wonderful to work with. Went out to dinner to see somebody of that stature, of that celebrity. It's kind of tough because it's really, I don't know if I'd want to be that famous, where literally we would go out to eat lunch between the matinees, and we'd go to Sardi's, which was right down the street, and she would say to me, Tony, come with me. And she'd have to disguise herself, literally. And we'd be having lunch, and people would come up to the table as she's putting food in her mouth and say, can I get your autograph, Whoopi? And she's like, well, if you let me finish my meal on my way out, I would love to sign it. But I'm having lunch. You can't believe some people that, it's really a little uncouth about what they do. But that kind of celebrity is crazy. I mean, it's terrific. I saw her do many philanthropic things as well. I mean, the closing night of the show, great story about Whoopi. Closing night of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I was the Chicago police officer. And so when the show's over, I used to hang up my costume, and the costume people would come down and take it. So I was done with my stuff in the show, hung up my costume, and then when the show was over, after the show was over, I came up after taking our bows, and normally everything would be cleaned out of my dressing room. And I come up there, and my clothes are still hanging. My uniform is hanging there. And there was a note on it. And she said, this is a gift from Whoopi Goldberg. They asked us prior to the show closing, would you like to buy your wardrobe? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. This is awesome. It was tailor-made for me, blah, blah. And they said, yeah, it's $2,000. And I said, well, I'm not Whoopi Goldberg, and I'm not Charles Dutton. I'm not making $50,000 a week or whatever they were making at the time. And I said, no. And so she went out of her way, and then we had a wrap party that night. And I remember I went up to her at the wrap party, and I said to her, Whoopi, I just want to thank you so much for doing that for me. I appreciated it. This was great. This was my first time on Broadway, and this very memorable. working with you, working with Charles and the whole cast. And I'll never forget how she said to me, well, how did you feel when you saw that and when you read that note? And I said, I felt amazing. I couldn't believe how I felt. Words were escaping me at the moment. And she said, just do that for someone else someday. Like pay it forward kind of thing. And you know what? I mean, there's somebody, she doesn't need to do, I might not agree with the politics and all of whatever, the other things in life, but I saw her do many things that no one will ever see that were very philanthropic and very, like, amazing. I mean, really. I mean, she invited me to her home for Christmas. They had the 3 black tenors singing upstairs on the balcony. There were celebrities all over the place. Everybody from the Joy Behar, all of the View. And here I am with my daughter. She invites me to her house for Christmas. So I go to my bakery in the Bronx by me, and I buy all the cannoli and the sfogliatelle and all this stuff. I'm assuming I'm going to a little gathering at Whoopi Goldberg's house in Tuxedo Park, New York. We pull into the gate of Tuxedo, and a gentleman comes up to the door, and he goes, you can leave your car over there, and the bus will take you to the house. And I'm like, bus? And I get on this bus, and I'm like, my daughter was only about 4 years old. And I'm like flabbergasted. We get on this bus, there's all famous celebrities on the bus. And the bus driver goes, sit in the front. You're a big guy, sit in the front. So I sat in the front. We drive around this big thing. She had a house on the peninsula on Tuxedo Park. And it was a mansion. It was like the Godfather, a Corleone mansion, right? The gates open up. In her front yard, she had a full carousel built for the kids. And Christmas decorations, it was like Macy's. The Christmas decorations were insane, right? And actually, Federico was at this party. And I have a box of cannoli and pastries for maybe 10, 15 people. I don't know. I'm thinking like, the cast.
Good shit.
There's a couple hundred people in her house. So what we pull in, and Whoopi just happens to be coming out of the house to greet us. And she sees me, and she sees my daughter, my wife. She picks up my daughter. She goes, listen, take your daughter down to the pool house because we have all games and face painting from. I was like, oh my God, the boathouse? I mean, this is like, I'm a guy, like a working actor trying to just make a living, but this is what she was just so regular. And we go into the house, and it's amazing. And I said, Whoopi, I brought you some pastries. And she like hands it to one of the guys that works for her, oh, good, go in. They had tables full of food. Like I said, the black tenors singing Christmas. She had a Christmas tree that was 30 feet tall, looked out onto the lake. And it was funny. She said, Tony, I want to take you on a tour. So she takes me in the other room. I'm sorry, Matty. Am I taking up too much time?
No, this is all about you, baby.
This was like an amazing moment in my life, actually. And so she takes me into this other room. And back then, nobody had the flats. She had the flat screen TVs already, giant things, right? We go into her study. And there it is. She goes, I know you can appreciate this. There's the Oscar, the Emmy, the Tony, and the Grammy. She's an EGOT. She's got them all. And I said, oh my God, look, this is amazing. She goes, I'm not being a show-off. I just know you would appreciate it. Because we became friends over the rehearsal process and all of this jazz. And I said, this is amazing. She had the largest collection of black art that I've ever seen. It was all like these little dolls and things, right? I don't know. It could be considered racist today. I don't know, but I don't know. But I said to her, it's unbelievable. And she's taking me on a tour of the house. And I said, aren't you afraid of somebody like glomming a little something, putting it in their pocket? You have a lot of people here. Just Tony, I got security all over the place. And I said, look, I need to go to the bathroom. Do you have a bathroom? She goes, oh, go downstairs. It's more private downstairs. So I go downstairs. And I'm walking into this room across. She goes, yeah, it's in the back. Go downstairs. I go downstairs, and I walk in, and the Jets game was on. The Jet football game was on. And there's a guy on the couch, and I'm walking by, and I said, what's the score? And he goes, there's no score yet. The gentleman on the couch was Robert Deniro. Wow. One of my idols as an actor coming up. Marlon Brando, right. But like I was from the actor studio type thing, right? And it's freaking Robert De Niro. So I said, oh, okay. And I go in the bathroom, and I'm like spray painting the wall, and I couldn't even hold my, the pee correctly. Because I'm saying to myself, what the fuck? It's Robert De Niro. I asked him what the fucking score was. I mean,
and now, Whoopi, now you know who pissed all over your bathroom.
Exactly.
Now you know.
I was painting, and I wasn't Federico, that's for sure. But I'm like, I adjust myself. I try to contain myself. I try to say, okay, I'm going to go out there now. And I need to say something to one of my idols. This is like meeting Al Pacino, Robert Deniro. And I calm myself down. I come out and I look over and I look at the TV and I'm like, anybody score yet? And he goes, nope. No. And I said, okay. And I just fucking walked out of there. And I go upstairs and I say to Whoopi, Whoop, you didn't tell me Robert De Niro was going to be down there. She goes, I thought maybe, you strum up a conversation. I said, strum up a conversation. You need to repaint the bathroom down there.
All right, she knows.
I said, this was frightening for me.
Security didn't need to get the DNA. She knew.
And she just laughed like you wouldn't believe. And I tell you, we had a blast, and it was just one of those memories that, like, I'll never forget. I mean, it's a crazy story, and I very rarely get a chance to tell that story.
That's a great story.
But it really happened, and it was amazing. And if Robert De Niro's out there, please hire me on your next film. And
great, I had my bus story, and it used to take me to a big place, except it was fucking Jersey Transit in the Port Authority. So I was on a bus, went to a big place. Yeah.
Oh my God.
These are great stories, Tony. And again, if anyone has any questions for Tony about The Sopranos, about any of his works, ask them down below. I think we did have at least a couple questions. One from
it's Shirt Gene.
Shirt Gene.
Shirt guy.
Shirt guy. Well, this makes sense. How many wardrobe changes did you have for the scene where you got killed?
Yeah, well, there was many. I couldn't believe. Well, because I'm a big guy too, and they found the sizes. It was amazing. I mean, I think we had 10 coats, 10 pants, 10 shirts, and we just went through it, And then there were some scenes where I was on the table, so I was bloody, and I could stay there. And it was funny too because I had to stop breathing when the camera would be on the body and stuff. And they had so many cameras rolling. They had a camera in the ceiling, camera and the walls. See, that's some things that people don't realize. They pull out the walls like where the stove was. All of that stuff is just retractable. It's insane. I mean, that's the magic of the movies, as they say. Where that kind of stuff is just it's seamless. When the editor puts it all together. A funny story too. I had to go back in and do some voiceover recording, ADR they call it, because they wanted to get me all of the stuff because I guess they just wanted to get sharp. David Chase is a real stickler for all the detail. And so I went in there and I took my brother with me, and he's like, I said, John, I got to go in the city. You want to take a ride and come in there? I got to do some recording. Yeah, that'd be cool. So we go to the studio and I do my thing, and he was like, wow, this is cool how they do that, right? And then Steven Van Zandt walks in. He had the session after me. Now my brother and I, Jersey guys, I remember seeing Bruce at the Montauk Theater in Passaic, and all of the stuff. See him all over the place, right? My brother's a freak. He was a Kiss freak, total Kiss guy. But then Bruce was his guy. And Steven Van Zandt walks in. My brother goes, oh my God, that's Steven Van Zandt. I said, yeah, I worked with him on the show. And nobody knew at the time because the show hadn't aired yet or anything, so my brother didn't know. And he goes, could you introduce me? I said, sure. I said, Steven, would you like to be my brother? It's my brother, John. And my brother was almost like I was with Whoopi or with De Niro. He kind of like froze. And I said, it's okay. You can say something. You can talk to him. He's a very cool dude, man. And so we started talking, and they started talking. Took a picture with him, and he said, listen, what you saw here today. Then he turned into Silvio, the character. He goes, what you saw here today, you don't mention it to nobody. And it was very funny.
That's good. Now we know who peed on the wall in the bathroom in the recording studio. Your brother. Another mystery solved.
Very good. That man doesn't miss a punchline. God bless him. We're going on the road soon. We're going to be at Harris in Atlantic City. I get no respect.
Now, obviously, some other great shows. In the
I'll tell you a story, Tom, about Law and Order. I played a fire captain in a scene, and it was a big scene. We were shot up in Harlem. It was a car crash. They had stunt guys doing this thing, and I was the fire captain. I had to show up on the scene, and I had to take Mariska Hargitay was one of the people stuck in this car that was hit by this other guy, and we had to do take after take, right? And I would help her back into the car every time because the doors were jammed shut. You couldn't get out. And so I would help her get in and out. And she's such a cool chick, man. I mean, Mariska was the greatest. And every time I would help her back in, I had to hold her like butt a little bit. I don't know with Cuomo now. I don't know if you could do these things. But anyway, hey. And so she'd go, hey, you're not having a bad day, are you? And she was just so cool. And I remember I had to go in to do a little voiceover for that too. And she was coming out of the building on Broadway. And it was right before Thanksgiving. And she said to me, Tony, you did an amazing job for a fireman. I was like, a fireman? I'm not a fireman. She said, you're not a fireman? I said, no, I'm an actor. She goes, holy shit. I thought you were like a fireman that like acted or something because the way you did. And so I go up to record the studio stuff. And the recording guy says the same thing. And he goes, wow, it's a great job for like a fireman. I said, I'm not a fireman. I'm an actor. So I did a good job as a fireman being an actor, you know. But that's where the line gets blurred sometimes, you know. But Mariska was terrific to work with. I mean, I worked with Bill Cosby too. Bill Cosby. I know it's a touchy subject today, but Bill Cosby.
What did you put in my water?
I didn't do anything. But Bill, I don't have those roofies in there. I'm sorry, I didn't do that.
Oh,
Bill Cosby was terrific, and a funny story. I keep taking up the time with these stories. I mean,
that's what we're supposed to do.
It's 9 o'clock. We can talk about it.
It's all about the story.
Cosby. So I book a nice role as a cop on his Cosby Mysteries. And I shoot the pilot. So I shoot the pilot. Everything comes out great. And actually, I played Joe Dionic, this pizzeria owner. He comes in, blah, blah, blah. We do this whole thing. He was great. He took a couple pictures with me. They wound up hanging him up in the pizzeria on Columbus Avenue. And a couple weeks go by. I don't know if the series is going to go or not. So I'm just taking work. I'm an actor. I just want to take work. So this background casting director calls me and says, would you like to do a day on the new show? Cosby series got picked up. I said, listen, I can't really do this because I worked as a principal on the show when they did the pilot. She goes, listen, we just need a cop in the background, you know, go do it, right? So I said, fuck, I need the money, you know, whatever, I'll take it. It's union pay, I'll do it. So I go do the job, and they put me like right next to the dead body in the shot. I want to be the cop like standing on the corner on Columbus Avenue. But no, they put me right there. So now Cosby walks in, and I start to pull the police hat down lower and lower because I don't want him to see me. And they block it out, and then they take a break for the camera guys to come in and set the lights. And I start walking outside. Now, Cosby always smoked a big cigar all the time. Cigar. And I go out in the hallway, and I see him. And I start to walk down this hallway. Now, we're in an old building up on Columbus Avenue. And I can smell the smoke, like, following me. Like, the puff is coming. And I keep walking, and I keep walking. I don't want him to see me. I feel bad. I feel like I worked with you, and now I'm just an extra, which you should never be like that. So anyway, I go down this hallway, and now there's a dead end. I can't go in. I'm trapped. Like, I can't go anywhere. And Cosby finally goes, hey, you don't say hello? And I turn around and I said, and he's like 5 feet away from me. And I said, Mr. Cosby, how you doing? He goes, what are you doing? You don't say hello to me? We worked on the show. You don't say. I said, Mr. Cosby, listen, I feel a little, I'm doing extra work here today. And my agent told me not to do it, but I need to make money. You know, I got a wife, I got a kid, you know. And he's like, you making an honest day's pay? And I said, yeah. He goes, there's nothing wrong with that, son. Nothing wrong with that. And it was a very cool moment. Like, we're having this great moment. And he's like, you know what? You're done today. And I said, well, I'm done. We didn't even start shooting. He goes, no, you're done. He calls over the script girl. The script girl comes over. He goes, listen, what do we got from my man Tony here in this episode? Listen to this. This is amazing. This is fucking amazing. And she goes, I don't know. He goes, you want to play a photographer? I said, sure. He goes, all right, we got a scene. You play a police photographer. It works next Tuesday. And he goes, check him out. So the guy signs me out. And I'm walking to my car, right? My agent calls and goes, Tony, where are you? And I said, well, remember you told me not to do the extra work on the Cosby Show? She goes, it's nice to know people in big places, huh? I said, well, what happened? She goes, Cosby Mysteries just called us and they booked you for a job next week. And I said, well, I told them this whole thing. And Mr. Cosby, so it wound up, I played a cop on the show. It wasn't a police photographer. Oh. And then I wound up being recurring on the show. Mr. Cosby, I always called him Mr. Cosby. Whatever happened afterwards, this guy did me right. And he brought me, I was finding every dead body in the city after that. He'd show up, I said, Mr. Hanks, how are you? And we found another one over here. And it was just amazing. I mean, these are the kind of stories that make a career, you know? sometimes I sit at home and I go, what am I doing? I mean, I haven't had the show, the episodic or whatever, the big break in a movie. Doesn't matter. I've worked with Nicolas Cage on Kiss of Death, David Caruso. I've worked with many people. Gina Davis. I had an audition for a show, for a pilot that Gina Davis did with Rosie Perez. It never went. But I remember I went into this audition. I'm doing the scene. And I hear somebody laughing from behind me. Like I walked in and she was sitting over here. I didn't even know Gina Davis was. Oscar winner, Gina Davis. Great actress, right?
Right.
Oh my God. I mean, I love this chick, right? I love this woman. And not to be, I want it to chick and a woman. And politically correct. And my God, did you hear him? But anyway, she's terrific. So she's laughing. I turn around, I do the scene. She's laughing. She had to be laughing. It was good that she was laughing because it was a funny kind of thing I did. And she's eating like a chicken salad sandwich. And I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking Gina Davis. And she goes, that was terrific. And I walked out of there and I was like, okay, well, I think I did good. My agent calls, I got the job, I got this thing. I worked on this scene with her and Rosie Perez. The series never went. It was a pilot for a series. But I got to work with Gina Davis and Rosie Perez. And Rosie Perez was very cool too, because on the day of the shoot, she played an officer and she had the badge in her belt, right? But she's really a good looking little girl. I mean, a very nice little body on her. And I was doing the scene and I would look at her and I was supposed to play this guy to beat his wife up. And that's why they were investigating me. So he's this nasty character, right? Always believe your character. Don't judge them. So I was being the character. And Rosie said, in between takes, she goes, what are you looking at when you look at me? And I said, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Rosie. She said, you're looking at my chest, aren't you? I said, Rosie, I'm looking at your badge. I'm not looking at your chest. She goes, you're looking at my chest, aren't you? But it was like playful. I don't know if you could get away with this stuff today. I don't know. But this is what I'm saying. We've gone so far cuckoo in my that you can't be yourself. And that's the whole thing. You, as an actor, you need to be relaxed. You need to be comfortable. You need to be, in a place. And it's a shame today because, like, when we did the Broadway Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, you had 2 months to prepare for a show. Now they cut everything down. Everything's shorter. Rehearsal times. In rehearsals, where you find the characters. Man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Tom.
No, these are great stories, and your stories are so plentiful. There's such a variety of them. You've done such a variety of parts. Do you have a favorite type of part or a part that you haven't played that you hope that in maybe 2021 you'll play?
Well, I did this off-Broadway show at the Minetta Lane Theater. Brian Golubov wrote this play, and I played this role of Eddie Contarino, and it was really like the Marlon Brando, like a Streetcar Named Desire type role, and that's the role that got me my agent, as a matter of fact.
Wow. And
these people, a lot of people came to see it. It was downtown in Manhattan, great little theater. And I tell you, that role I would love to do again on a bigger stage, because I was the one who originated that role. So when you originate a role, I mean, even if you went out and bought the play, my name is there as Eddie Contarino, and I was able to really get into a character. I did a Few Good Men, where I played Lieutenant Colonel Jessup, which was a terrific role. I mean, Jack Nicholson made it famous in the movie, but I did it, on Broadway, off Broadway. Those kind of things are just terrific because you really have a rehearsal period where you can work on the character. You can find, you can. Sometimes when you work on episodic, it's like when I do Law and Order. So you do any of those type of shows, it's like a train that is just running down the track, and you're jumping on. These people are doing this every day. So you might not get more than one take. You might not get 2 takes. I mean, I had one actor, I won't name, but he said, look, if you don't feel like you're comfortable, just fuck up that take. Fuck it up, and you'll have to do it again. Now they got to do it again. But some directors they'll edit it together, and they won't give you that. I mean, so that's the way it is. But when you do a play on Broadway or off Broadway, you go from beginning to end. Nobody can cut it out. Nobody can change anything.
Great in the depth.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to do 8 shows a week. Let me tell you. I mean, even Brando, after he did Streetcar, I don't think he ever did Broadway again because it was such a grind, And it is a grind, but it's a cool grind. And I think the thing that I love about acting is the process. And I had a great acting teacher, this guy, Tommy Waits, member of the Actors Studio. Vinny Pastore, who played Big Pussy, as a matter of fact, on The Sopranos. I met him on the movie Awakenings. And we became good friends, and he told me about Tommy, and I auditioned. I got into the class. And I think he really opened up a lot of doors for me. and made acting simplified. You know, what's your moment before? Where are you coming from? Where are you going to? What do you want in the scene? He made it, you know, he made you understand it on a level that wasn't like pontificating it to you. Some acting teachers that are up on the hill, you know, they're just, you know, I'm this and you need to learn from me. I was already a working actor when I took these classes, but it made me better, and it made me, you know, what is this music, this character? Listen, do a day in the life of your character. What does he do from the morning? Like even when I played Fat Dom Gamiello, you know, I'm thinking like, what is this guy's schedule? What does he do every day? Does he get up and have coffee? Does he read the paper? What kind of music does he listen to? These are all the things that actors do that people don't see. This is the work you do at home, and you bring it to the stage, you bring it to the play, you bring it to the film. And it's an amazing life. It's a tough life. You know, they say the music business is tough, but the acting business is equally tough. Because you have to live with 90% per, you know, what do they say? 90% of the Screen Actors Guild is unemployed most of the time. Not everybody's Tom Hanks, not everybody's, you know, Robert Deniro, you know, so it's a struggle, but I don't know. This is what I've done now for 35 years. Yeah. So
when you get to do what you love, when your life is doing what you love, is a big deal.
And she understood that. She wasn't marrying the next tycoon of business. You know what I'm saying? And we made a good life for ourselves. God bless. You know, we don't want for anything, and that's a blessing in and of itself. So, Tom, thank you so much for having me.
It's a real pleasure to have you and to chat with you. And again, if there's anyone else that has questions, and if you haven't already liked and shared this, you're going to get a chance to win that bourbon barrel aged coffee from Janus Coffee Roasters. And we've been telling you about it for the last few weeks. But again, if you're a bourbon and coffee fan, we've partnered with Janus Coffee Roasters for our very own, with Chad Bates there. BourbonBlog coffee, aged and finished in used Breckenridge bourbon barrels. Go to bourbonblog.com/coffee. And definitely retweet this, like this, share this. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, do that as well. We're gonna draw that here in a moment. But
speaking of social media, I beat on Tony a little bit because he doesn't really.
Let's hear it. Where do we need to follow it?
So start following. Tell them where to follow you on Instagram and Twitter, so I can stop yelling at you.
Yeah.
.com, I guess. Tony Cucci at Tony Cucci, Twitter, you know, whatever, Instagram. Matty is going to school me in the great art of actually branding myself, because you know that's something that is not taught to many people as well. So it's a thing you got to learn to do. And hopefully people that are tuning in tonight, they'll start to follow me. I'll start to put more content up on there. You know, especially I'm going to put a little something up about virtualcons.com so they can go there. You know, do that, and then the other things like Soprano Con will come in July. We'll put some things.
So the Soprano Con will be in July. It will be. Will some of it be in person, or will it all be virtual?
Well, we're hoping that it'll be in person at that time. Hopefully,
in Jersey, we're the tipping point here where everyone is thinking. Like even for events that I'm working on, we're thinking July. So keep your fingers crossed. We're going to see where we are with the vaccination. See how the general population is reacting. You know. And like I said, you know, keep your fingers crossed. You can already see it starting to turn down. So you know, we're all keeping our fingers crossed. And I'm a little disappointed, Tony, right now. To follow him, you're supposed to say, "Do you want to be a head in the bag? You don't want to be a head. Would you follow him? You'll be a freaking head in the bag. Follow."
I need to take a picture of the head and put that picture up so everybody can see the head now. Because I've been talking about this head that's in my office, so now I got to take a picture of it and put it up.
Do you think we'll see more? I was going to say, you know, with Sopranos, and then of course Lillehammer, which Van Zandt did such a great job with.
I wish I would have had an opportunity to work with Steven on that.
That was such a good show. Do you think we'll see more mobster/mafia here at shows in the next couple of years? I mean, it seems like we've had some every 5 or 10 years that have done really well. What do you think? What the future?
I don't know. It seems to be a genre that never goes out of style.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, you know, you think it's dead, and something like Soprano comes along.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Something like Soprano comes along. So you know, it's really hard to say. I mean, I'm kind of writing a script about kind of how I got into the business now. I mean, everybody writes a script, so you know, it's just I don't want to really talk about it, but it's how I got started in the business. My daughter was young when I started, and I always ask the question like, "Dad, how did you get into the acting business?"
Right.
And my story is kind of very varied because, to believe it or not, I started out as a Chippendale dancer in New York City, and that's how I segued. I went with a guy that worked in the club with me.
You really did?
Yes, I was the barbarian back
All
at
right.
my peak in the 1983. I did the Barbarian. And
Yeah, baby.
That's a whole other story.
Do we have any pictures we can pull up of this? I don't know if there are any. Or you have any on your phone you can show?
Wait a second. I might have a picture. Hold on.
Because usually we have those clips or those pictures we pull up, but we're going to see if he has this.
And today you learned that fact is always stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
He's got to have it. Now we just call him the Barbarian now.
Yes, the Barbarian.
You guys, do you ever have reunions of those from those?
The funny story about this is that, excuse me, was that I had gone. Yeah, the way of the dollars. I was very good at tracking down $50 bills and $20 bills. Exactly. But
what did he pull out for you? 5? What'd you get for him, Matty?
Dude,
I would never come to you, Matty. I'm sorry. It's too low a denomination.
It's been hard times with this year, dude. I had $1. I'm like, you got a little change maker on there?
Yeah.
Times are a little tough.
Okay, here we go. This is the Tony. This is the Tony.
Yes. Oh, what is that? 1983.
Yes. So that was back in about 1983. I just got out of college. I was working as a bouncer in a nightclub in Wayne, New Jersey. And one night we had male stripping. It's when the whole male stripping thing just started. And this guy came in and he said he was from Chippendales. And I didn't know what Chippendales was at the time. And he said, I'm here to see one of the dancers. He's auditioning for me. So I found out who he was. I said, okay, got him in there, set him up. At the end of the night, he's leaving. On the way out, he says to me, can I have your number? And I said, here I am, a homophobic kid from New Jersey, basically, back then. This is 1983. I just done playing college football, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, listen, I don't give my number out to anybody. I'm sorry. So he leaves. The next day, I'm at my father's tavern in Passaic, New Jersey. My mother calls me. She says, a guy from Chippendales called. I said, Chippendales? I didn't give the guy my number. My friend Brian Starcher, who was one of the dancers who was auditioning for him, gave him my number. A good friend of mine. So I go into the city. I walk in there. I go in for an interview. They said, yeah, we're going to put you in the show tonight. I want to see what kind of reaction you get from the women. I was like, what? It was like 500 crazy women in there. It was crazy. It was like a television studio in this place, right? So they give me these pants that are about this big. They're spandex pants. They go, put these on, put the collars and cuffs on. So I go, what? And all the girls, and they had girls on phones taking reservations back then in those days. So I go downstairs. I pump up a little. I was in the best shape of my life. I was 23. I just graduated college. I played football. I go out on the stage, and the flashbulbs start going off. I didn't know what to do. The guy's announcing my name. He says, here's the next guy out. It's Tony Cucci. He's a construction worker by day, and he works here at Chippendales at night, and he's responsible for some of the major erections around town. So let's bring out Tony Cucci. And I almost fucking trip when I come out from behind the curtain. I go up on the stage, just screaming. Everybody's crazy. It's very good for your ego. Like 500 women and a half-naked man. It works, And
Tom, put up the little NC-17 thing in the corner as we do this.
No, this is great. Great story.
Legal disclaimer.
I didn't know what to do, Tom. So I stood there like deer in the headlights, and I didn't know what to do. So I just went, boom. I went into a double bicep pose, and the place went crazy.
That was the pose.
Now I was starting to love it. I was doing most muscular. I was doing all these poses, right? And the guy had to say, Tony, get down, please, leave, get off the stage. So at the end of the night, they said to me, Tony, we think it might work out for you. And they put me in, and I went through 2 weeks of every muscle guy in New York against me. But I was very good. I was a running back in college, so I was very good on my feet. So when they would teach the dance steps, I learned them very quickly. And I wound up getting this job. And, to tell my father, who owned a bar in Passaic, New Jersey, Dad, I just graduated college, but I'm going to be a male stripper. It was a little bit of a, stretch. But then when he saw the money I made, he said to me the first night they came to the club, my mother, him, and they sat up in the VIP lounge. I had my friend Larry take care of them, champagne. I said, Larry, load him up. Give him the poo-poo platter. Give him everything. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. Just do it. And they saw the show. My father said to me, he said, so Dad, what do you think? He goes, you make that kind of money every night? I said, yeah. He goes, they're going to fuck you on the taxes, pal. You better put some money away. And that was my father's way of giving me the blessing that it was okay to do, because he saw the cash. It was the cash.
The cash. See, these are the Jersey and New York things you can't
that was the segue. And then the PS, fast forward, my friend gets an audition to go for a football commercial. He says, want to take a ride with me and go downtown? I said, yeah, sure. He doesn't get it. I wound up getting it. Boom. That's how I got in the union. That's how I did the commercial with Byron and, the guys from the Giants. And that's how it started. And,
now you know.
And now you know.
Started with Chippendales. That's amazing.
And this whole story is, I'm trying to, I've written a lot of it. I wrote some of it with a friend of mine, Dante, and I performed this as a 2-act play, and years ago, and it was very good. Chaz Palminteri actually came to the theater to see it. It was the Italian American Theater in the Belmont section of the Bronx, the Italian section there. And I remember the night that Chaz came to see the show, I didn't know he was in the audience, thank God, because I would have shit my pants, right? And I was a big fan of Bronx Tale, his one-man show, which they turned into a movie. And I was drying off after I came off stage. I was taking a shower. I was coming out of the shower, and the stage manager says, "There's someone here to see you." And I said, "Who?" I said, "I'm coming out of the shower. Tell them to wait." He said, "They can't wait." So I'm coming out of the shower. I got like a towel around me, and I look down. And I see these shiny shoes, and a woman, and I look up, and it's Chaz Palminteri. And he goes, "I just wanted to come back and say I love the show." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's Chaz Palminteri." I mean, these are the little things that, I mean, you're hearing this more than anybody else. I mean, a lot of friends of mine know these stories, but this is the first time I've actually told it in public.
This is great. These are great stories.
And it's the basis for a film that I'm trying to put together. A story.
The life
based on my life. I'm too old to play the part, so
yeah.
I would just write it and then get a really good-looking guy like myself to play.
Oh, hey.
Who would you have play the part if you had somebody?
I don't know now. I have to think about that. But
No, if I was a little younger,
it would be an
interesting.
interesting process to have to go through, Tom. Though I'll tell you the truth. But anyway, so
that's a great story from the Chippendales to all the great productions, film, theater, the Sopranos. Such a story, and I hope that will make it to TV, film. It's all the stories you tell. They're so different. They're so unique. I think that would be amazing.
Well, that's a life. You are the sum total of all your experiences. Tom. My father, some of these things, I used to say my father did these things when I was young, and now I seem to repeat them now because it's true. You are the sum total of all your experiences, and that's what makes a life. I mean, it truly is. And no one's an overnight success. I mean. Chevy Chase tried to be Johnny Carson, and it didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? Great Chevy Chase, but he wasn't a good late night guy.
Right.
And it's true. The people that make it look easy, they got it, man. They got it.
I think that's so important for those in theater, for those in production, for those in all parts of the business. Everything you're saying is so true. Man, thank you so much for being here with us, Tony.
Oh, thank you so much.
I can't wait to have some cigars and whiskey with you when I get back out that way.
Oh, thank you, man. It would be sit down, have a cigar, have a bourbon. It would be
How did you like the pairing with the what you're smoking?
I loved it. I had a couple right here. It was great. I want to thank Sanj too for bringing out the bottle. He had a bottle back here.
This is great stuff. And I'll tell you, the great thing about this one is because it's you can't see through the bottle. It's completely black, as you see there. You don't know how much is left, so you can't tell how much you've drank at the end of the night. You have to kind of lift it or kind of look down and see.
Well, this one's still got a lot in it, so I'm gonna have one more before I leave.
It's the level of slur. You learn by the level of slurring, I think.
Exactly.
It's all about just kind of guesswork. The burning chair and the black pitch. That's the other one I was trying tonight. Somebody asked.
Tom, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you too. I'm so glad that I came out and I didn't do it Zoom because Matty told me I could do it from home. I said no. I think the best experience is a live experience. And to meet Sanj and to be in everyone's company.
Great to have you.
It really is. And for anybody that's in this area or you're not in this area, you should definitely stop down to this cigar store, Sanj's Cigar Store, Bloomfield, New Jersey. I don't know the address, or else I would say it. What's the number here? What do you got?
419 Broad Street.
419 Broad Street in Bloomfield, New Jersey. And I'm telling you, Sanj will help you. If you're like me and you're just starting out, there he is, the man.
We'll guide you through. Sanj, yes.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And Detective Walking Chin.
Good to see you, Walking. I know he's been commenting some, which we appreciate.
All right. Oh man, that's terrific. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so many great people again. John, Gary, Linda, Terry asked again. Terry,
need somebody to sit in and be a guest again.
Would love to have you. And we will put this up on our podcast channel, which is anchor.fm/BourbonBlog. If you're not already subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to YouTube. Check out, once again, follow Tony Cucci. And if you're into the cons, the virtual cons, and hopefully in person cons, check out.
It really is. This is going to be the future of live events and conventions. So it's really a cool thing, and definitely check it out.
Tony, so many fans of yours and of The Sopranos watching tonight. We had about 45 retweets, actually 45 retweet shares on YouTube. Give us a number between 1 and 45. That's who we're going to pick to win that coffee from Janus Coffee.
1 and 45?
1 and 45.
I had to go with the number that I played. That was my number in college, which was 39.
And you played, what'd you play again in college?
I played college football right here at Montclair State. Montclair State, it's a university now, but when I was there, it was Montclair State College. And we were very good. We were ranked nationally. We always played for a national title. So I played with Sam Mills, the great Sam Mills, the linebacker who just this year was up for the Hall of Fame. My first day of football, Sam Mills hit me. I was looking out of my ear hole. I saw this guy that was only 5'9". I'm 6'2", like 230. I said, I'm going to take this guy out. He straightened me out really quick. My coach, Fred Hill, at the time goes, welcome to college football, Tony. As I was looking out of my ear hole of my helmet. I didn't know where the fuck I was. It was amazing. But
I like it. Number 39.
39 was my number. So let's
all right, 39. The winner of that coffee is Terry Artreep. Terry Artreep, you won the coffee.
Salud.
Salud. God bless.
Salud. Cheers, everybody. Sanj, Matty, Tony, thanks so much. Welcome, everybody. Cheers. And Matty, next week, who's it going to be?
So I'm checking the schedule. So the people that we have coming up, we'll figure out during the week. So we have Del Harvey, as we talked about, who not only is the creator of Hill Street Blues, but as craziness would have it, is currently working on something with Federico. We have wrestling great Ken Sullivan coming up. We have some of the Samoans coming up. So keep watching. Keep your eye on the social media, and you'll see who pops in next week.
All right. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Tony and Matty.
Much love, ladies and gents. Peace.
Have a good evening.